I love the conversations that we have before the show, the things that we're not quite ready to discuss because it's our business,
Right.
our business. And the only people that really know our business are the people that are closest to us. And even they may not really know what's happening. And it doesn't matter what's going on in anybody's life. What matters is not how we view what's going on in other people's life, but how kind and compassionate we can be to them while choosing to very, very, very carefully care for ourselves and the people that matter to us. When spirit's showing me when someone goes into cardiac arrest or they need mouth to mouth resuscitation, focus on that. Focus on that with that kind of passion and let everything else just fade away. It'll come, it'll go. You know, what's popular will be popular and what's not is not. I was writing this morning about 1985. I was getting ready for high school and I was listening to Quiet Riot. Bang your
Come
horn.
on, hear the noise. Yeah. Girls, rock your boys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And that kind of empowerment is what I enjoy right now. Tell me what I got to do. I'll tell you what I do. What I really, really, no, not. Mm.
Yeah, it's a very interesting line because we had this, we were going to go on about half hour ago, guys, and then we got talking. Um, there is a divide for me because part of what I have done in my life is make things be okay. And so, as much as I understand now that getting upset about things I have no way of controlling doesn't mean I don't get upset and that I don't go, then let me take care of the people, um, and let me be with the people that I don't get upset around. Um, and that it's a choice to get upset and it's okay to make that choice at times, you know?
Mhm.
Uh, it, as long as I'm not using words I have to. And what I have found over this last year, especially very recently, is there's a lot of things that no longer are there to be upset about. So the things that arise, it's all right to put the energy into. And I've been asking for that. I love that this is the alchemy of abundance. What is abundance? And you have to be careful of the word abundance because there's abundance of pain, abundance of anger, abundance, you know. Um, what are you going to magnify? And that doesn't mean deny. And that is always a sorting place for me,
Oh,
you
it's
know.
so individual sorting. Focusing on something that thing that is important for you. It's so powerful. It's like a magnifying glass that you shine on the grass. It's just that pinpoint laser focus that can ignite what you want it to. I remember I was a kid and I did that. And oh my goodness, the back alley was a problem of fire because I didn't realize how much force that little light would do.
Yes,
Now I know. But now I don't play with fire.
now funny, I do play with fire. Um, not not in the same way I did as a kid, but I remember lighting matches next to the garage and just about putting the garage up, the side of the garage, on fire. Um, uh, I grew up in a place where at one time there was an alley behind the house where the trash used to be picked up. And so you had a fenced in part, but then there was a fenced in part that was the alley. And when they stopped doing that, everyone was allowed to put another fence. So I had like a double fence. The yard ended, there's the old alley, then there was the piece that was around the garage, and that was the part I almost lit on fire.
Mhm. There's so much that we can create with beautiful, deliberate intention. Um, White washing fences, because the whitewash isn't pure paint. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's diluted, and it's done that way to conserve the cost of paint. Maybe. I don't know why it's done. I don't know. We can lightly put coats of intention on things, or we can really paint, like paint the way we want it to be on our side of the fence. We don't have
Hmm.
any right to paint on anybody else's side of the fence. We don't know what they want for abundance.
Right.
We don't know.
That's the alchemy.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
alchemy. It's really neat too because um, oh my gosh, on the weekend, someone said to me, I watched The Outsiders, the movie. I'm like, oh my God, I love the book. And then I started talking about the book, The Alchemist, and Paulo Coelho. And that's where my love of movie comes from because I read the book first. I spent hours in the library. It was my happy place. And I get so passionate, like I just like, whoa. And then I was called to a Indigo bookstore in Red Deer. I had arrived at an event early. It was a connector event, people that get together once a month. And I'd gotten there early, and there was two bookstores that I went to, Kennedy's Parables and Indigo. And I got information from both as to what I can do to have my book there. And at Indigo, I found an oracle deck, Kitty.
Mary Magdalene, I just read her book, Mary Magdalene Revealed. Yep.
Yes. And the card deck by Megan with two G's, Watterson with two T's.
Why do
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that name?
I don't know. Megan Watterson. Here we go. Is,
Is she the one who wrote Mary Magdalene Revealed?
I don't know. It's on my shelf. I don't know. I I know in myself when I have a missing link between the things I've learned and the things
Yes,
I understand.
she's the one who
Same
wrote the
author.
book. Yeah, she's the author that wrote the book that
I've
I've
even
been.
got I've even got taggies on it. I got taggies
Um,
for the seven, what are they? Remind me.
7 Habits.
7 habits. Just like
Yes.
a nun
What?
wears
Yes.
a habit, a nun wears a habit. Why does a nun wear a habit? Why is it called a habit?
Um,
I'm like that. I always
it's
question.
not the seven deadly sins. It's the seven. They're the challenges of the ego to get through. It.
And,
What was
and
taken
maybe,
as the 7 deadly sins
okay,
really wasn't a sin, and the word sin is actually being out of alignment. That's all that means.
to miss the
And
mark.
the
To
right
miss
to
the
miss
mark.
the mark, and that these are the um, habits, the 7 challenges that we work on in our lifetime. Yes.
Well, in this guidebook that goes with it, she calls them the first power.
7 powers. That's what it was. Habits,
Mhm.
powers. Yes.
And I find it absolutely intriguing. I'm learning so much, and I am a deep um, researcher of information, and that came from the fact that when I went to school, I had to write out all of the um, I had to
The
cite
footnotes and
every,
the references and the yes.
and my teacher would actually check into that.
Yep.
My prof, I mean, I remember the first time that I got written up for plagiarism and I lost a whole bunch of points. And I'm like, I didn't cite it properly, and I didn't. Oh my gosh, really? And I that one really got me, plagiarism. So now I'm more careful to the best of my abilities. Um, and we're sharing information differently now. So we don't get so bent out of shape when something isn't cited correctly. Because now, according to Google,
Mm-hmm.
freedom. I am called here to be free.
Just be you.
Yeah.
Um, one of the ones that stood out about the seven powers, the seven habits, powers of the ego, is ignorance, and the different conversations she had around ignorance in Mary Magdalene did, that ignorance is just the unknown versus, and that it is a place to seek knowledge. It's a whole different take on the word ignorance. And just what you're talking about, citing references, looking things, doing the research. That's one of the powers, the habits we develop.
Yes, and right here, directly from the guidebook, freedom is the glorious inner state we can reach when we've unbound ourselves from all the egoic states that confine our perception. Freedom feels like a blank slate, a wide expanse, a university of possibilities suddenly opening up from within. Freedom is our birthright. I love that.
Oh, I'm going to have to look for those cards because I really, that book, as a matter of fact, I shared it with several people as a book to read. And it's such a shift in understanding, the seven, understanding Christianity, understanding religion, how it evolved um, as a way to control versus what the love was always the original piece. And in order to be love, you had to be authentic. You had to seek enlightenment you and using love versus. Um, but the seven powers are habits that we break learning about. And like I said, ignorance is the one that stood out. Wow, ignorance is just when we don't seek more information, that there is a way to do it.
Well, and questioning your own thoughts give you such power. Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't make it to the event because I had to do this, or and I can change my direction while staying in my intention for love, peace, compassion, connection, all of those to me first, and say no to something that I previously committed to while explaining exactly why. I had an ultrasound and an x ray session yesterday that was supposed to be from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. I got another at 11:45. So I had to shift and cancel some appointments. And then that appointment now became on Thursday and Friday as well. Who would have known that I had to get all three different parts of my body ultrasounded on different days for billing purposes? I'm like, wow. Okay. Um, looks like I got to change some things up. And I'm okay with that. Kitty, the abundance that I can create in my life by understanding the root cause of my physical pain is worth it. And if you can't understand that I can't be there for you, that's okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about before we got on.
Mm-hmm.
The word alchemy to me is very interesting. Um, it's not a word I really heard until the last 3 or 4 years
Hmm.
that came into. There's a spiritual component of the word alchemy that I was really kind of just not aware of. you
Yeah.
know. Um, and so, the alchemy of abundance, what are you creating an abundance of? Is it joy? Is it anger? We are always in some kind of alchemy, always.
Mhm.
I-
I was working with a lady and she said, okay, so if I'm working on peace, why are so many people coming in my life to piss me off? I'm like, clarity, maybe? Are you clear about what you want less of? Yeah. I still don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life. Well,
Well,
maybe you're clear about a little bit more.
and the alchemy could be they're coming into your life so you understand what peace truly is.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that means sometimes peace is boundaries. Yeah, I'm not doing this.
yeah. Gotta say no. Oh, looks like we got to block another number, Kitty.
Yeah. Or
Surprise, surprise,
or
surprise.
bless another person, um, in Al-Anon we talk about detaching with love, but sometimes you have to start with just detaching.
Yes, yes. You can just snip because when you've got that explosive dynamite and you got the fuse, you gotta cut it. You gotta cut it like that, or you gotta let it burn and explode. So, what do you want?
So if I want to learn about peace, I need things to teach me about what activates me.
Boom.
Hmm. If
Mhm.
I want to learn about financial abundance, I need to learn about things that drain it.
Yes. Yes.
Um, if
True.
I want to learn about a healthy body, um, I have to learn how to pay attention to the body. So it might have to call my attention to some things more. That doesn't mean I have, one of my favorite things I learned very young was from Louise Hayes. I release the need. I release the need to only learn by me getting sick. Uh, you know,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
so
I release
again,
I release the need to run interference in everybody's life so that
right.
everybody is happy while aggravating myself. I can't believe I did all of these things for a person and then they weren't even
Right.
stop it. Stop it. Stop doing anything for anybody. Just take a break. Take a kitty cat break.
Hmm.
Roll
Just
yourself up in a little ball in the sun and be.
Yeah, I had an interesting dream last night that basically I was drowning everybody around me. like, and I woke up going, well, that seemed a little extreme. like,
Wasn't baptism?
no, I was drowning them. like, shove them off the boat, bye. And uh, and I woke up going, well, that's not really how I want to do that, you know. Um,
No.
so it the alchemy, the actual definition of alchemy. I'm going to look it up because it's such an interesting word that I don't think I spent much time.
Well,
You
it
know,
really is an
there are
interesting
people,
word. And for me, the reason that the alchemy of abundance came up is I was getting together a couple packages for people that are helping me with endorsements. It's my special way of saying thank you. And two people are getting the abundance blend. Um, and I love it. I love it. Actually, Daphne and I created it together. It was the first blend I ever made. And it's powerful patchouli, cerebral cedarwood, vivacious vetiver, and gentle ginger. And it's to help regain mental grace and inner peace. So vetiver is as thick as molasses and it provides a clear and revitalized mindset, encouraging a restful sleep, encourages focus and concentration, combats grief, and reduces fear. That was the one that Spirit suggested for me. And the combating grief part, I really needed to work on that a little bit. Sam's birthday tomorrow in the Lionsgate portal. So I'm getting it out of the bottle, and then I'm like pouring the thick juice on my wrists. Right? I'm just rubbing it everywhere. Oh, and it was just like a wow. When we can let go of that which no longer serves and flow through it, right? It's such a beautiful expression and experience. It's
And that's really
magical.
very key when we can do it. And that doesn't mean we beat ourselves up to get there. Yesterday, I was remembering a gentleman who I don't know if he's passed or not, but sitting at this is also Al-Anon, a meeting, talked about there are pauses and silences. And for a long time, they made me uncomfortable. Should I talk? Should I not talk? Somehow I took responsibility. And I remember him very clearly saying, you will get to a point where the silences are gifts because it doesn't matter. It's not about just being, it's not about anything but understanding this is a gift. And that's the alchemy of, as I go through these things, as things disappear, realizing some things no longer bring a reaction, and the ones that do eventually will not bring a reaction again, you know, but not by me forcing them, by it being a natural progression. And at the moment, for some reason, I'm getting pockets of sadness, more often anger, and they will too also disappear, alchemize, if I let them. But if I keep trying to control them and not look at them and have a right way to deal with it and a wrong way to deal with it. So I'm looking at alchemy, and it says the medieval forerunner of chemistry based on the supported transformation of matter. It was concerned particularly with attempts to convert metals into gold or for a universal elixir. And what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Occult sciences such as alchemy and astrology was the example they gave. And then another definition is a seemingly magic process of transformation, creation, or combination. Finding the person who's right for you requires subtle alchemy. And really, alchemy is magical chemistry. Um, and so it's this whole idea of what is and again, of abundance. What's your definition? What kind of abundance? Being really specific. You know, I've been talking astrologically about this is not about the manifesting anymore with the Lion's Gate. It's about stepping into the consciousness so you live from that. And therefore, the manifestations are just the way your life is.
Oh
And
my God, you just bada bing, bada bang. Just you put it on there like the perfect kind of cream cheese icing on a cinnamon roll. And I mean that for me that's just like the ultimate because I love cinnamon rolls. Oh my God, raisins, yes please.
me too.
Ice cream cheese icing, yes please. How do you make it? This is how I make mine. I really like mine. And I'll share yours. I'm just sharing how I make mine. So I about a month ago, I really hit the wall in the physical pain in my body, and I was angry. I was so angry. So I cried. And then I felt weak. And when I feel weak, I feel wounded. When I feel wounded, you better look out because I'm coming for you. And I had to ask for help, like a lot more help. And then I had to accept the help, and I'm getting better at it. So when Ralph and I went to help a friend install a ceiling fan, and I reached up to grab something, it was after he cut the wire from the old ceiling fan coming down, and I reached up to take the stuff, and he looks down. He's like, You're not allowed to lift anything. Put your arms down. I don't like being told what to do. And he was so right. I was just standing here in case of emergency. He's like, well, there's no emergency. You can move. And you call the next person over. And he does it the Ralph way, which is sometimes like, just like, ugh. And I also get it the Carrie Ann way, my dear friend who invited me this afternoon to come with her to an event. And she's like, I'll carry your cards. Okay, Kitty, they're postcards. They're postcards. I don't need anybody to carry my postcards. And I'm like, oh, yesterday when I had my shoulders x-rayed and they asked me to raise, no, it was my elbows. And they asked me to put my elbows on a table. And I put my elbows on the table and I screamed. And Lay's like, oh my God, are you in pain? I'm like, not really. She's like, well, you screamed. And I'm like, well, it hurts when I put my elbows on. She goes, you screamed, ma'am. Here, let me. And then she raised it up. I'm like, oh, that feels so much better. Like, it was just like, wow, Nance, how long have you been doing this? Just, yeah, it's not that bad.
It's funny because you've been hearing me talk about Al-Anon. That was the topic yesterday, was asking for help. Remembering that sometimes outside of ourselves is information, outside of ourselves. And again, when I'm in a situation that I am not the alchemist for, because it's not my business, not my job, not my life, the alchemy I do possess is to do something for myself, ask for help, go take care of myself, do something. And again, what is my definition of, I want abundance of joy, abundance of confidence, abundance of peace, abundance of, laughter, abundance of, what do I want a lot of in my life? And again, in the silence, learning that I have found a lot of those things, and I'm still, what's the song?
I still haven't found what I'm looking
Found what
for.
I'm looking for. Yeah. Still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Well,
And
and
that's the
tomorrow, the alchemy of the astrology tomorrow is the Lion's Gate portal, which is the 8th day, 8th month, 2024. When you add it up, is the 8th year as well. So we've got a triple eight, which is infinity, abundance. It's the Reiki symbol, it's the Métis symbol, on and on. Please explain what it means
Well, it's the eighth house.
astrologically.
It's the eighth house, because
Which
that's
is?
the house of transformation, death, rebirth. It is also, because it is Leo, it is the 5th house of self. So it is transformation of self, transformation of birth and death and self. And very
Emily was
interesting.
born on the I'm giggling because Emily was born on the 8th day, 8th month. If you wanted to know who it was all about, when she was in her 8th house of life, it was about Emily. And creating beautiful experiences with others. She would put on birthday parties and invite everybody. And then she would get frustrated with me when I'm like, your class, honey. We can invite everybody from your class. That's like 30 people. Well, about the other classes, they're going to feel left out. And I'm like, honey, I can't. I'm going to talk to Dad. I'm going to talk to Jared. And I mean, they even had to explain to her, honey, it's not possible. Make it happen. So we'd get 2 damn bouncy castles and more Kool-Aid and more cheesies and whatever else. And that's what was her expression. When we tried to hamper that or tamper that, or put a, like boiling water, you put a pot top on it to try and stop.
The steam that escapes and the lid blows.
Yeah.
It asked, this is an interesting, it's always an interesting month, but this Venus is a huge player this month. At that Capricorn moon we had, I've been talking about this, there was like a board meeting of the planets and the outer energies, the inner and the outer energies, on Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion. And Jupiter itself is in Gemini. is there for a while, just left Taurus a couple months ago. And in Jupiter and Gemini is about expanding how we respond, expanding how we communicate, expanding um, what boundaries we set. It's a bridge planet. And when this board meeting happened, Venus and Mercury for daily energies have emerged to be doing some real work this month. Venus affected the new moon. It's going to be affecting the full moon as well. Today happens to be a day that they are conjunct, and Mercury is retrograde. So I've already been hearing about people and their computer issues and all of that. And it's conjunct with Venus, both in Virgo, very much about all of the smaller pieces. Talk about chemistry and alchemy. Um,
Yeah.
Virgo is the alchemist. Virgo is about all the small particles building the picture, how they're rearranged, very much the earth patterns that exist in the so below. And so, very much today, they're getting ready for this Lionsgate on how we're going to respond internally, and Venus being about love, compassion, beauty, our values as we get ready to walk into this Lionsgate energy to transform. And in Virgo, it's transforming in smaller ways to build a new, bigger picture. And so
Feminine
it's
and
powerful.
feminine energy. Is it a feminine sign?
Yes, because it's Earth,
Mm.
and of course Venus is a feminine sign. Um,
And it's very interesting. We were talking earlier about bras because I've got a fancy red one. Like I'm so happy, and it matches my earrings and all that stuff. The burning of the bras, very powerful time.
mhm.
That time when people came together, and that time it was women, to make change. There's so many changes that the societal energy of mother has done, right? The Leo energy of a mother. I mean, go ahead, see what happens if you enter that state. If you go into a mother's cave or cage when she's got her cubs and see the energy that will come to being when a woman is um, when she
Challenged.
challenged, when she feels the need to protect, right?
Mhm.
And there's so much of that on the horizon that it's like it's just like spirits showing me like oh so many different movie archetypes. Oh, they're showing me, oh my goodness, I love this one, the Little Mermaid, and the octopusy woman,
Ursula.
Ursula, which is actually a shadow goddess, because Ursula was one of the shadow goddesses. So a shadow goddess is the goddess who's been, you gave love a bad name. It's like Lilith. Lilith being the first wife of Adam, who's like, yeah, no. So he divorced her and found Eve. If you know the story line, if you've done your research enough to understand the
That's
mag
in Mary Magdalene revealed. Yeah.
yes, yes, the magnitude of the power of a woman. If you're not certain of the power of a woman, ask what see what happens when you don't like what a woman cooks and you keep on commenting negatively on it.
Well, and if there's any argument about the sex of God, source, whatever you want to use, it would be feminine because it creates. And what creates in our society? The feminine.
And yet you can't create an egg without a sperm, or
Right.
they or spermy egg. You know, I was looking at an egg this weekend, like an actual fried egg. Ralph made me breakfast, and I'm just like, I was staring at it, and it was so interesting for me because I'm like, what changes, like what makes an egg and a chicken an egg, like when it goes from egg to baby chick. And I'm like, how does the sperm enter the egg, and what does the rooster do to the egg to make an egg? And I'm just like a male or a female egg, like how does this happen, this whole alchemy of it. And I was curious. I ate the egg because I love eggs. And I like it when it's gushy enough just to mix my toast in it. I could have sat there and overanalyzed the egg. It was just a brief moment, maybe a minute of just like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? And how did the chicken become the egg and all that? And then I just simply enjoyed it, Kitty. You talked about that in the Woo. What's that beautiful conference?
Oh, um, the one that's happening right now, the all about the Woo
All
conference.
about
Yes.
the Woo. Because Joanna was talking about enjoying food and enjoying the body like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I talked about, so when I see the crinkles, instead of being like just kind of being fascinated. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, neat. I've been using a topical redox gel, and I've been using it on age spots. And I took a picture of the age spots about a month ago, and it's pretty cool. How is it working? I don't know, but it's really fucking cool. They're goning, they're going away. Alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
Focused intention on an area I'm curious about. I didn't do it because I'm like, oh my god, I've got age spots. What will I do? I did it because I was curious what would happen, and I've got a spot here on my nose. So I'm like, what would happen if I applied this 3 times in 5 minutes and I use it on sore spots on my body? What will happen? Hmm, interesting. And what would happen if we just loved ourselves a little bit, lot a bit more every day?
Well, and just accept it, just be. Each stage of life has a gift and a learning. And there's the ultimate alchemy of abundance, accepting. I we were talking about this yesterday in that particular class about the astrology, the medical astrology. And I was really happy to hear the conversation, because when I kind of started on that road looking at my own body and all of the things, it's amazing when you listen to people make comments about themselves. Oh, I am heavy. Oh, this. Oh, it's like, why? Why do you walk? You wouldn't do it for someone else, but you make it about yourself. Um,
Mhm.
Instead of being grateful that I at 64 can, or 63 can climb a ladder and paint 25 feet in the air. That is where my attention. Yay! Again, what is the alchemy of that abundance? The alchemy is me changing how I've looked at it, versus I only have one way to look at it. Either it's helpful or not. So why wouldn't I pick helpful?
Exactly.
Yeah. Uh,
Exactly. And to realize that the beauty of the helpfulness that's given to us, um, have you ever noticed how often um, because you, I know me, and I observe, yeah, going out for dinner with Bill and Trudy, just picking two names. Oh, God, Bill's just such a downer every time. And then you go and you see Bill as a downer. What would happen if you said, I'm curious what we're going to have to eat? I sure like Brussels sprouts. I'm going to bring them. I like Brussels sprouts. I like baking them in the oven with, I put mine in coconut oil and I bake them, I
mhm.
roast them. And then I put bacon on top with a hard cheese. So sometimes I use Asiago, sometimes I use Parm, and I use a balsamic vinaigrette over top.
And they crisp. Yum.
They crisp, yum. And then if I have leftovers, put them in the fridge. And then I take beets the next day and I cut up beets and I add cold beets, like I boil beets, blah, 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 cold beets and feta cheese all together. I wonder if Bill would like that. I can't control the way the bill is, but I
Right.
can change me and the way that I show up.
Yep. Yep. And that was part of the concentration in the conversation yesterday. Um, I can have righteous indignation. I can do all kinds of things, but what can I influence? Just the way I show up, the way I react to it, including um, I don't have patience for Bill right now, and that's
No,
all right. I don't have to
no,
change Bill. I just can change Kitty.
and I
You
don't
know?
want to show up actually because I need to. Ralph's really funny when he says he needs to wash his hair. I always giggle.
Yeah.
He's bald. So if he makes an excuse that he has to wash his hair because he can't be there, and you don't pick that one up,
Yeah.
it's
You know,
okay.
it is. I just canceled for myself a trip um, because it wasn't that I didn't want to go on the trip. I just didn't want to go now. I just wasn't going to
Yes.
make it. And just feeling like, and truly it wasn't what that I didn't want to go there as much as I just wanted to stay here.
And that's a big one. That's a big one. I've had to do a lot of rescheduling this week. Holy schmoly. And focusing on how I can help my mom to the best of my abilities without burning down the house. Because the system, the button pushing system, hasn't been working at the facility that she's at, which is a problem. And it's been a continual problem. And I'm no longer willing to accept that it goes down for 2 days. Last time it was on the weekend and they couldn't do anything. This time it was a Monday.
Yep.
No more. No more. Mother's safety is very important. She pays a tremendous amount of money every month. And I'm tired of listening to that's just the way it is. Well, listen, tips. I've documented it over and over and over again, and I'm not going to allow this again. I want an answer that's going to help protect all of those precious souls that are in that building.
Right. So do you think your regulatory system is going to say that's just the way it is? No, they're going to say put a new buzzer system in if it's not working.
If it's not working, and
Yeah.
and it's about doing so with grace. I've got a case manager who works for Alberta Health Services. She's the next step, and above her is the member of parliament in my district. Because it's not okay to be okay anymore.
Right.
We've struggled too long to allow the the magistrate, that's the word that spirit gave, the magistrate to make the decisions for us individually. Kitty, could you imagine what would happen if our show here were not allowed to be broadcast anymore?
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
Mm-mm.
So I've already got an action plan for that because there's lots of other opportunities where, town hall, live, in person. Let's talk.
Well,
Let's
and this is this Gemini thing we're talking about. How do you want to respond? How do you live in this consciousness that certain things are not going to be okay? And it's not about me saying you're not doing your job. It's about me saying this isn't okay. If you can't fix it, I'm going to find the people who can.
Oh, absolutely. Try to censor me and see what'll happen. That's why so many
Yep.
things that I'm writing about in my memoir were a challenge for me because they were things that were so forbidden for me to speak of in my life on so many levels. And I didn't realize how much I had allowed myself to be emancipated through fear, censorship, and the devastating effect it had on my physical body.
Yep.
Devastating.
And again, what I can influence in front of me, I influence it. And if it's really not about me, then one of the things in the silence that my friend spoke about all those years ago is when I can be in silence without taking an action, I find the answers.
Oh
They're just
God,
there.
isn't that the beauty of it? I know how much the struggle has been, not just in my life, but in many people's lives that I've worked with, spoken to, befriended, whatever you want to call it, um, who are so paralyzed by not by what could go wrong. Oh, I could never ever send out an email campaign. I just don't know how. Oh, I couldn't pay somebody to do it. I'm not willing to invest. Dreams down the toilet. Just like it's a sewer system of dreams that have been flushed because there isn't enough fortitude, balls, chutzpah, ovaries. I always say that.
Well, my
Right?
for me, then the question is, well, you do you. Is it really your dream?
Do you really want it? Because if you really want it, you'll do whatever it takes. I mean, Kitty, birthing a child,
Yep.
the physical experience of pushing a watermelon out of a pee hole.
Mm-hmm.
It when
Yep.
you've got to push, you push.
Right. And it's all right if you don't want it. If that's not really what you want, then you know, I don't want to put the effort in because I don't want to work that hard because what I really want isn't ultimately worth the effort to me. And it's all right to say that. So it's all right to flush your dream if that's your dream. If it's not really your dream,
Yeah.
that
Well, I mean,
that is the alchemy.
it
Is
really is. Well, Twisted Sister, we were talking about music before, right?
mm-hmm,
Oh my God. I love dressing up at Halloween. And to do things like that would be so much fun. And for so many years, I wouldn't allow myself to. I'm like, you can't do Twisted Sister Nance. The guy was a man. Hmm. And he was so tall.
yeah,
What fun would that be? Oh my God. With the paper ghetto blaster. Happy paper, that's all I can carry, right? With the music playing on a yeah, with a sign that says Twisted Sisters so everybody can clearly identify.
yeah, yeah,
It seems like a lot more fun, and I think that that's something that I know that's what I'm focusing on. I have to. I have to.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
Guns
It's
ablazing, guns ablazing in a certain way. I've got a sign that I'm going to hang in my office. Ooh, Calamity Jane. I figure if a girl wants to be a legend, she should just go ahead and be one.
and that's the key. If she wants to be a legend, you don't have to be a legend. You might want to be a very quiet person.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And what does being a legend mean? What kind of a legacy are you leaving behind?
right.
It's up to you. It might just be a and not might just, it may be a beautiful myoma. I've got one on my dresser. She crocheted. I think it was crocheted. Remember those really neat toilet paper doll
Yes,
dress?
they put. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that was crocheted.
Yes, it was knit or crochet.
And
It doesn't matter, but it was. Yeah.
I've got a round flower that she made, and she made it with the kind of, I think it's polyester yarn. I'm not sure. It melts and it lights on fire.
Yeah.
So I
And
used, yeah, because I had it underneath my smudging. Woo! It's melting. Better
whoops.
change that. Whoops. That was her legacy. The love that she created, that she left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a kind of alchemy of abundance.
Mhm.
Again,
Yeah.
abundance of what? Some people, it's more important for them to be remembered, even if it's being for a pain in the neck
Oh, I got
or
a couple of
crazy.
those.
Yeah.
I got a couple of those. I was talking about that in my ultrasound. Um, and then yeah, because I remembered somebody fondly and I referred to her as a mean, wicked witch. And the x ray technician, well, no, like she was actually called Granny Goodwitch. Like that's what her grandchildren called her. That's what she was reminded of because of the way that she behaved to two of them. To another one, it was a whole different experience. She was kind. She was also very strict, created a tremendous amount of wealth. She had chinchillas. Like she raised chinchillas. What a neat experience that would
To
be.
make the coats.
I don't know what she did with them. I don't know, but she raised like she had little, and this is Alberta. It's cold, so she had little houses for them, like an actual house, and inside lived chinchillas. And the outer grass area had to be cut a certain way, or else she wasn't happy. And so one of the boys that was her grandson, instead of mowing the grass the way she wanted, he cut right over top of her flowers intentionally. She got angry. He never had to cut the grass again. That was his intention. So, of course, she was angry.
Yeah.
What do you expect? We're all characters in a story. What story are you creating?
Right. Well, that's why I call myself the storytelling astrologist, which it
Yeah.
doesn't say here today. Because
I did talk. I did put in the bus stop conversation
um, yeah.
because I
Oh, you
love the
did?
bus conversation. I love the bus stop conversation. It's like it's the epitome of, so are you riding the short bus or the long bus conversation, right? Depending
Yep.
upon what experience you want.
Or
I'm
taking the limo.
Yeah,
You know. And what is the limo to me might not be your limo. What is
right.
abundance to me might not be. Who knows why I signed up for what I signed up for, including some of the characters in our life that they will be remembered. That's what they
Mhm.
signed up to be, is remembered.
Mhm.
So, one of the people we were talking about definitely signed up to be remembered on
Oh,
this journey. Yep.
most definitely. And when you work through the layers and levels of unburdening and forgiveness, I was telling my son this morning the value of ho'opo'ono
Hmm.
for himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually listened to the long version of that prayer. I'll send it to you, YouTube. It's quite extensive. Um, and it has actually a different combination. I actually liked it a little bit better. Um,
Mm.
because it talks about I've already forgiven you for the mistakes that you will make, as you've already forgiven me for the mistakes I will make. You know,
Wow.
um,
Wow.
and
Well,
and
understanding that time is a human creation meant to measure.
right, quantify. And again, if your goal for abundance is to be remembered, you are putting it outside of yourself. Do you remember you? Did you live the life you wanted to live? So
Yeah,
it's
tap shoes and tutus, right? What did you want? And if you didn't
right.
get it back then when you were a kid, I love tap dancing. My knees couldn't. That's not true. Blah, blah, blah. I told my mother my knees hurt, so I cried too much, so I got pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no hip hop available.
Yeah.
I could learn hip hop now. I love watching Jeanette and her daughter dance.
Um, Special healing to Jeanette, sending it out.
Mm.
Um, I wanted to play the piano my father played the piano. He was very gifted, actually, piano player. Um, had an ear. Um, I remember being in Toronto at the Needle, and they where you could take a test about tuning. My father was the highest level of being a piano tuner. He had that level of being able to hear
Wow.
tones and all of that. Um, but my father tried to teach us. That didn't go so well. Um, my mother signed me up for baton lessons.
Oh, cool beans. See, we
Yeah,
didn't have that so much in Canada.
I didn't particularly like it. Like, why do I want to? It was all right. I marched in a couple parades. I can still twirl a baton.
Oh my
Just,
God. Little Miss Sunshine. That is me inside. It's
and
and
I
stuff.
just, I always thought it was interesting because if you had asked me,
Yes.
I knew, but that wasn't what happened. Now, I think she probably signed it up because she had a lot of children. Actually, that was just as she was getting sick, and it was around the corner, and we could walk to it. So my mother was a very practical person.
Oh, that's why I was in Explorers instead of Girl Guides, because Explorers was in the church, the United Church that we went to. So I went to Explorers. Um, and I just wanted to be in brownies, man. I just wanted to be in brownies like all the other girls. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired of this old Christian thing. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful. Now I eat. Now I eat the cookies from the Girl Guides. I'm like, yeah, take 2 boxes. I'll give one away.
So, yeah. Well, and I was a Girl Scout, and I part of the reason I was a Girl Scout. Special shout out to Mrs. Ziegler, who's actually still on my page. Was my Girl Scout leader. Her daughter Karen, and her daughter Maureen, found later, and so she's still living. The only reason I really got to go was because Mrs. Ziegler would pick me up
Oh my goodness, a
and
blessing. Emily
take
was
me
in
home.
Girl Guides. Emily was in Girl Guides, and she, um, like she lived life. She wanted the badges, and she would do anything to get the badge. And if she didn't get the badge, she was bent. And there was one time that she was struggling with certain badges, and I offered maybe paying attention to another one, like cooking. You're a really good cook, and we can cook together. Boy, did she cook! She
Hmm.
was, and when she was 8 years old, she could make tacos right from the meat, everything straight through. She loved to cook. So when I cook, I think of her. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's fun.
Yeah, it you know, uh, I'm happy for the versions of me I've been and the people because they got me to where I am today.
Yep.
And whether there were traumas connected or not traumas connected, you know, um, they get me to the version I am today. They've taught me things. So,
Oh my goodness. You know what? One of my greatest things that I'm grateful for now is bingo. I used to go to a lot of bingo. Bingo was like church in my extended family, my ex husband's family. And I would watch these women who would like dab. Man, they were great dabbers. And there were certain rules, Kitty. You never, ever talked about how many cards were bought. Ever. You didn't tell anybody if you won outside of the hall. And there were serious consequences if you did break those rules. Like you weren't invited back. You were out because
oh,
some of these women were using the money that was like not budgeted bingo. Or they were winning a lot of money and they were pocketing it, not sharing it with their husbands. There were rules. And I understand the rules now more and boundaries, things that just are not things that happened in that band camp that no one talks about outside of band camp.
yeah, it is funny. I am not a great secret keeper. And then I think there are other secrets I've kept very well, because I don't assume it's a secret unless you tell me. And so, unspoken things, though, have always been communicated to children about things like bingo cards and how you had them, and how, different rules that people had. And yeah, I'm just grateful for all of it. We're at an hour again. We did it again.
Or again. Yeah. So here in Canada, we have radio bingo. So I can sit at home and play bingo if I
Mm-hmm.
want, which I don't. I've never done it. And I could if I wanted. There's choices. So
Yep.
I'm so grateful for everybody that chose to watch and tune in and listen to our ever expansive flow of consciousness.
I love these Wednesdays. I so enjoy them.
Me
So,
too.
and
Yeah.
we'll see you next week on
Yes.
Wednesday. So,
On Wednesday.
namaste.
Namaste. So